The morning watch. The morning watch. The morning watch. The morning watch. I always start with the word, now that's a bird call. I came to take them to church. Don't wear your...
Good morning, Generations fam. Grab you a cup of coffee. It is March 10th, 5:32 a.m. Hope your week is going amazing. Amazing. Lots of great stuff going on this week. Not the least of which is our 40 days of prayer. Not the least of which is our 40 days of prayer. So today we're going to talk about staying awake. We're going to stay awake. Matthew 26, 40 through 41. Then he returned to his disciples and found them sleeping. Couldn't you men keep watch with me for 1 hour? He asked Peter. Watch and pray so that you will not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Good morning, Generations fam. So glad to see you this morning. Hope you had a great weekend. We are in 40 days of prayer leading up to Easter. Our Easter theme is paid in full. And this past Sunday, yesterday, Pastor Josh discussed how to stay awake, how to stay spiritually awake, based on Matthew 26, 40 through 41. One of the most dangerous things that can happen in life is not an attack. It's not opposition. It's not even a crisis. One of the most dangerous things that can happen is when the person who is supposed to be alert falls asleep. There's a lot that goes into that. One of the most dangerous things that can happen is when the person who is supposed to be alert falls asleep. Let's break that down a little bit. The person who is supposed to be alert. How do we maintain alertness? How do we support being alert in our lives, whether it's physically, spiritually, emotionally? Well, there's a life cycle to it, isn't there? There's a life cycle to it. So I spent a long time ago, I had a career in the Army, and falling asleep on guard duty is a pretty big deal. So how would we negate falling asleep on guard duty? Let me take that back. How should we have? Because we found a whole bunch of unhealthy ways. But if we were supposed to be on guard duty at some point during the week, how do you think we prepared for that? Well, number one was this. We rested when appropriate. We rested when appropriate. In order to stay alert, we had to be on a decent sleep schedule. And that's not super easy to do in the military, especially during times of war, especially when you're overseas. Boy, that was brutal. But how do we make sure that we're alert when we're supposed to be and we don't fall asleep? Well, we rest when appropriate. We rest when appropriate. And how do we make sure that we were able to rest when it was appropriate? You ever had those days where you go to bed and you just kind of lay there and you stare at the ceiling? Well, when that happens to me, I know several things have occurred. Number one, I didn't get my workout in. I didn't tire my body out so that by the time it came time for rest, so I had to train. I had to train my body in order to prepare for the time when I could rest when appropriate. I had to train my body. So I knew that if I was laying there staring at the ceiling, more than likely I didn't work out that day. I didn't go to the gym. I didn't get a run in. I didn't get a walk in. So one of the most dangerous things that can happen is when the person who is supposed to be alert falls asleep. And we're talking about how do we prepare for those seasons where we need to be alert. Well, number one was rest when appropriate. Number one, rest when appropriate. And we've got to be diligent with taking care of our bodies and our minds. We've got to be diligent in taking care of our bodies and our minds. One of the most dangerous things that can happen is when the person who is supposed to be alert falls asleep. So one of the ways that we've discussed how to be alert is rest when appropriate. We're going to be diligent in our duties. Jesus says that his soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. This is really where Jesus' friends could have stepped up. For all those times that Jesus had been there for his disciples really had the opportunity to be there for him. But it also taught us what that looks like in a negative light. Jesus was not asking them to solve the situation. He was not asking them to fight the soldiers. He was simply asking them to stay awake and pray. And that's what we've asked of our church family over these 40 days. And I know we're getting close to, I think, we're about halfway through it. We're about halfway through our 40 days of prayer. And if you haven't made it every single time, man, please don't give that a second thought. Neither have I. I haven't made it every single time. But I do try to be there. I'll make it there anywhere between, 3 and 5 times this week. But I'm in a special situation. Now, your situation may not be like that. Now, listen, during this 40 days of prayer, are we asking for people to show up at the church for 1 hour? Yes, we are. But we also understand that you have work, you have responsibilities, family. So what we're asking is to stay spiritually awake. You don't necessarily have to be in the church for the 40 days of prayer for 1 hour, but we do ask that you set an alarm, pause, at the noon hour, from noon to 1, at any time within there, and join the rest of your church family in praying over the things that we have listed. We have a whole list up at the church. It has to do with our community, our schools, our church, our city, our state, our nation, our missionaries, and we pray that you guys will join us. With that, wraps up the morning watch for today. I'm so glad you were able to join me this morning. Hope you have an amazing Tuesday. Don't forget the church to be up between noon and 1 p.m. for prayer. And then tomorrow we have Equip Wednesday, Hungry Hearts 5:30, small groups at 6:30, run until about 7:30. I love you guys. We hope you have an amazing day. Talk to you soon.